What were you finding purpose in, I guess, before that, what you've been involved in, and how you sort of dove into this world of personal development?
We are our worst enemy and our biggest critic because we like to talk ourselves down. We like to tell ourselves why we can't do something, and we convince ourselves to not do the hard work because we feel that resistance. And instead of leaning into it, we run away from it. I've become addicted to it because it feels so good when you can accomplish things that you thought you couldn't before, because you would always tell yourself reasons as to why you couldn't. And when you actually fight through those weak thoughts and accomplish things, your confidence starts to build. And when you have high confidence, you start feeling good enough to show up on a daily basis. As building that discipline has helped me in every area of my life: business, personal, fitness, relationships, everything you can think of. And really, that's just been my purpose, and that's really been my mission, is just trying to show other men how to build that energy in their life.
Super excited to be joined today by Brandon Castro. Brandon and I have been interacting a lot on social media, talking about similar themes around personal development, self growth, building a community around these same topics. So I'm super excited to have Brandon on the show today, and we're going to get into some really cool topics. So appreciate your time, man. How's everything on your end?
Thank you for having me. All good, can't complain. Just looking forward to this conversation because, as you say, we've been talking a lot online. So excited to just finally have this conversation.
Yeah, yeah, big time, man. And so I'm glad that we were able to finally carve out some space because I know that you just became a dad. So I wanted to start off just by saying congrats on that, man. That's huge.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, it's definitely been an experience, but honestly, it's been amazing so far, and just really looking forward to continuously go on this journey, because obviously when you become a father, have a new purpose in life, just everything changes in your life, obviously for the better.
Hmm. Yeah, big time. So how were you able to find the time for this, man? Or how are you balancing time with all of the different responsibilities that you got going on right now?
The first week was kind of like me trying to figure out the whole new routine, the new timing, but at the end of the day, like, I've built so much discipline, and I've been able to like create these habits that I, because a lot of times we'll say that we don't have enough time or we're too busy, and a bunch of all, like, I call them excuses, because at the end of the day, we do have enough time. It's just we got to make some sort of sacrifice in order to make the time to get things done. So it's really been one of my non-negotiables that I've built, just like not coming up with an excuse as to why I can't get something done. Because obviously, yeah, I just went through a big chapter in my life, and obviously it's taking up a lot of my time. But I also still find ways to get things done, because if I allow myself to give into those like thoughts of me saying, "Oh, can't get this done," or "I'm too busy," then I slow down my achievements, I slow down my success. And at the end of the day, like I said, I'm a father now, so I have a bigger purpose and have bigger things to achieve, because now I have a human being relying on me. So it's more of just relying on those non-negotiables and making time for the right things.
Hmm. Yeah, I totally get that. I mean, I sort of get that because I'm not a dad yet, but I get a lot of what you're saying about finding the time to prioritize what really is going to drive you forward, what really aligns with your mission and your value system and all of that. So what were you relying on? I guess before, obviously, when you have a kid, that's a really obvious like sense of purpose that comes with it. Like you said, you have another person relying on you, and you have to be able to show up and be the best person, be the best example for them. Um, what were you finding purpose in, I guess, before that, or in your journey, in your career journey? Like maybe we could talk a little bit about that, what you've been involved in and how you sort of dove into this world of personal development.
My purpose before fatherhood was really just me locking in and becoming the best version of myself, because that a lot of I dealt with a lot of times of just like almost feeling imposter syndrome. And a lot of times we like to talk about the person we are, the person we're becoming, but we don't really put in the work or the effort behind it, because we like to talk about it instead of doing it, because when you do it, it doesn't feel good, because it's hard, uncomfortable, not fun. And spent a lot of time of my life doing that instead of actually doing the work. And when I started actually committing to the grind and committing to becoming that best version of myself, I became addicted to that process of building discipline, building that purpose inside of me. And really, I'd say really locked in on this. I've always been a motivated person and a driven person, but like within the last 2 years, I really turned it up a notch to like a whole new level. And then obviously once I found out my wife was pregnant, the the level went to like a whole different level even before my daughter was born, because again, that created a new purpose. But before, when men don't have that child that they have that is depending on them, it's almost like you got to lock in on that purpose of self-improvement, self-discipline, and also self-love. Because a lot of times we are our worst enemy and our biggest critic, because we like to talk ourselves down. We like to tell ourselves why we can't do something, and we convince ourselves to not do the hard work because we feel that resistance. And instead of leaning into it, we run away from it. And it's very hard to break that cycle unless you're willing to put in the work and build that discipline. And it's really I've become addicted to it because it feels so good when you can accomplish things that you thought you couldn't before, because you would always tell yourself reasons as to why you couldn't. And when you actually fight through those weak thoughts and accomplish things, your confidence starts to build. And when you have high confidence, you start feeling good enough to show up on a daily basis, as even when you don't want to show up. And also, obviously, I build a lot of this discipline. I use fitness like as a vehicle, for example, like going to the gym, running, stuff like that, because I'm naturally a lazy person. I naturally don't enjoy going to the gym or going for a run. But that's exactly why I dig into it more, because like I said, that feeling that you get afterwards when you accomplish the things that you don't want to do, because discipline is doing the stuff that you don't like, doing it the same way you do the things that you love. And once you start getting into that cycle, you actually start training your brain to enjoy these things, because that struggle is what builds your wins, builds your confidence, and builds that momentum in your life to keep moving forward. And really building that discipline has helped me in every area of my life: business, personal, fitness, relationships, everything you can think of. And really, that's just been my purpose. And that's really been my mission, is just trying to show other men how to build that energy in their life.
Mm. Yeah, I love that, man. I totally hear what you're saying about how it ripples through your entire life, right? Like it's not just related to fitness, but you kind of stack these different parts of your life on top of each other. If you're disciplined in one area, then you're going to show up better, more physically fit, have more energy to work on your business, which is then going to carry into your personal life and everything. It all kind of ties together. So I definitely try to look at things in that kind of holistic way as well. And that's also helped me a lot too. And what you're saying too about the small wins, doing the small things even when you don't want to. I don't know if you've had the same experience, but the times that you don't want to go to the gym or you don't want to get out and do a run, when you're able to get over that hump in your mind, when you're just like stuck on it, and then you go out and do the run, it ends up being like the best workout or the best run of all time on those specific days. And I feel like that's because you know you get that energy, right? When you get that excitement of overcoming that, like that little bit is so underrated. You know, not a lot of people focus on that piece of it, but like that can actually give you so much energy and so much drive going forward, when you're able to conquer that little blip in your mind, that sort of resistance. So yeah, dude, that's super important.
Yeah, it's almost like you're building respect for yourself, because you're showing your mind that you can overcome challenges. And when you know you can overcome certain things, your mindset starts to change, and you start thinking of yourself differently. But you're so right. When you have those workouts, those runs, and those days that you don't want to do it, and you actually accomplish it, those are actually the best days, because you got to fight through those challenges and those thoughts.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, it's hard to do, but once you get through there, those are just on the other side is the best workout you've probably ever had. And, you know, people I think need to just focus on that end result, you know, realize like, oh, I just worked, you know, 8, 9 hours, but if I do this one little piece, it's going to get me to the exact spot that I need to be in. And it's going to give you that confidence to keep the momentum going.
And,
Um, yeah.
yeah, people don't realize too is like you could take that example and put it into your professional life. It's the same concept. Just like that's why I use fitness as the vehicle, is because I could take the insights I get from that and then just implement into my business life, because you're gonna have the same obstacles when it comes to business. You're gonna have those days, or you're gonna have those meetings, those situations that you don't want to handle. But when you do overcome that, you get this like boost of energy, this boost of confidence, and it just shows you that you can just keep moving forward no matter what. And that's how success is built over time. Because a lot of times is we want to chase that instant gratification and we want it to happen now instead of actually putting in the work on a daily basis and just being consistent and showing up every single day because it's not going to happen. True success doesn't happen overnight. It happens over time of you just grinding it out, of you going through those obstacles on a daily basis because it's not about who you are on the good days, it's about who you are on the bad days. It's like who are you when what version of you shows up when you have the hard things thrown at you? Are you the guy that's just going to let off the gas and run away? Or are you going to be the guy that puts your foot even more down on the gas and just goes straight into it? Because if you're going to be the guy that lets off the gas, you're not going to be able to achieve any kind of success because at the end of the day, there's going to be more bad days than good days. And like I said, it's who are you on those bad days?
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, definitely building up the that resiliency mentally to be able to get through the hard times and then also enjoy the good times. I'm curious about, are there instances in your life where you've seen that come to fruition and you've seen the full circle of, slogging through that grind of doing all the small actions, not seeing many results, and then something hitting for you? Like, is there something that comes to mind when you think about that? Like when you would tell somebody like, oh, I've gone through this process before. Um, and there is a light at the end of the tunnel if you just stay consistent, if you stay disciplined with it. Just curious if anything comes to mind for you.
I think something it's not something like big in my life, but I think it's something relatable that most people could kind of relate to. Is like before this, I never posted on social media. I never even liked being on the camera, and I liked being very private. I was more of a person that would like to listen more than I would speak. A lot of people would probably they used to say I was shy or all these other stuff, but it really wasn't that. I was just more of just like a quiet person, observant person. But at the end of the day, too, when I look back at it, it's more of like when I told you in the beginning, it's more of imposter syndrome. I didn't feel the confidence of the person I was, but me just being on this journey of documenting my life, documenting and just speaking about this kind of stuff and obviously helping other men achieve this stuff is I went from being afraid of the camera, never posting on social media to now having a community of men that I get to impact on a daily basis. And that was just literally by consistent effort, showing up on a daily basis. Because at the end of the day, majority of the men in my community, I didn't know before I started posting or I started documenting my life. And the only reason why they showed up into my community is because I was showing up on a daily basis. I was showing the proof of what it takes to be disciplined, to actually put in the work and actually show results because of it. And obviously, I have my own professional life besides this, but for me, this is just a journey that I'm on right now. And I think it's a good example for others just because, again, I think you need to start small before you go thinking of the crazy big wins. And for me, this was just like a small win of proving to myself that if I commit to something for a certain amount of time and I show up being my best self, I'm going to end up getting results over time. Am I getting crazy results right now? No, but I proved to myself that by showing up day by day, I was able to create something out of it because it was realistically, I had zero social media presence to now having some sort of community of people that are following me and me helping impact their lives. And that was just by, again, consistently being consistent, taking it day by day, just stacking those small wins, stacking those days, and just people respect someone that can be a man of their word. They respect when they see you showing up on a daily basis, no matter what, being disciplined even on those bad days.
100%, man. Yeah, it's hard to do. It feels scary in the beginning. I felt the same way, sort of the imposter syndrome of like, why am I qualified to speak on these topics? Like, why is someone going to go look up to me and try and gain insight and wisdom from me? So that was a really hard challenge, I think, in the beginning too, with when starting to share things online and trying to position yourself as some sort of an expert or someone that can offer value to other people. There's always that tension, and it's I'm still grappling with it. I'm sure you're feeling similar challenges as you've like reached new levels of it. You start sharing yourself, and it's like, okay, cool, I've done that. I've put myself on camera, got that out of the way, and it's now not as challenging. But then you start comparing yourself, at least I do, to people that are crushing it, like people who are online, like with massive followings and able to really impact hundreds of thousands, if not millions, people. And then that becomes the new bar, and then that's like another form of imposter syndrome. You're like, well, I'm not them, and I'm trying to be them, or just these small little challenges, these little mental hurdles that keep coming up. I don't know if you've had a similar experience in your journey.
Yeah, it's definitely been it's a humbling experience because, like I said, we all want these crazy results overnight because like you said, we see the people that are getting the huge engagement impacting a bunch of lives. But then when you go to post, it's almost like crickets because the crazy part is the people that personally know you are the ones that won't support you. But then the people that have no idea you personally, those are your biggest supporters. I've honestly seen, it's crazy to me. Is like, there's so many people that know me personally, but then they don't engage with my content. They don't support my content and it makes you sometimes overthink like, why am I doing this? What is the point? Like, should I even continue posting? Because at the end of the day, what am I actually achieving right now? But that, again, those are those limiting beliefs. That's that instant gratification trying to trick you into running away from the resistance. Because again, when we look at those people that are posting and impacting thousands, millions of lives, now let's think about how long they've been doing this consistently in order to reach that kind of audience. We're seeing the results of them working day by day for years, and we're thinking that we can achieve that overnight. And that's where the discipline kicks in. That's where you got to have that confidence too and know that, okay, it doesn't feel good right now. I'm second guessing it, but I know if I just push through this resistance period and I'm almost there, if I keep moving forward, I'm eventually going to reach that. Because a lot of the time, 90% of people quit right before something goes good for them because they get so tired of fighting that resistance, so tired of doing the hard things because it does get exhausting. If you show up every single day and you got to keep fighting on a daily basis and not getting the results you want, it is mentally defeating. If you're not mentally tough enough to fight through that, of course you want to quit. Who wouldn't? But you got to fight through that pain because there is no success without any kind of failure or obstacles. Because if you think the most successful people in the world didn't hit some sort of wall or some sort of adversity, then you're completely wrong. A lot of these guys, it's they failed more than they won, but you're only seeing the wins. And this social media journey really has taught me that more than anything is just like humbled myself and just made me realize what it takes to show up on a daily basis. And like I said, it's also correlated into my business life, and it's shown me like I've been able to take experiences from this and input it there because again, you could take experiences from any situation that you're in and implement it into another aspect of your life. And it's really taught me a lot so far. I've obviously there's days where I don't even want to record or have to do content but I know that I just got to keep doing it.
Yeah, man. Just got keep grinding away, keep chipping away at it, and eventually it'll get there. Even if it's a reasonably small community, like impacting people's lives is ultimately the goal, I feel like, rather than numbers or followers or likes or anything like that. Like having a small but really dedicated community seems to be so much more valuable, at least in my view. Like if I can change the lives of 10 people, I would take that over having, tens of thousands of followers any day of the week. If I can actually really get in touch with their lives and create that change.
Yeah, I like to
Um,
at least if I can at least impact one person's life, I know for a fact that that one person can then go impact another one, and it just becomes a domino effect. Like you said, I'm not really focused on impacting. a certain amount of number. As long as I can impact a small group, I know that that impact will then spread out to others. Some way, somehow, it will happen.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, man, I feel like we can go so deep on this for hours, just this one subject of putting ourselves out there in the online space. What you said about the supporters really hit home for me too, man. It's so funny how that works, right? Like people that don't even know you are the ones that are kind of experiencing you in a fresh light. They're seeing you like they've never met you, but then the people that know you from childhood or whatever you grew up with them, they're kind of viewing you through that lens and they're seeing you develop into this new version of yourself. And that's kind of scaring them, or it's kind of making them look themselves in the mirror or whatever it might be. But it leads to them not really showing the love that you feel like you deserve for the stuff that you're putting out there. And that's been hard for me to deal with as well.
I honestly believe the only reason why the people that actually know you don't want to support you is because it's something deep down inside of them. They don't like to see you change. They don't like to see you lift yourself up because at the end of the day, like you said, it reflects directly on them. They know that still the same person that they were 10 years ago. And seeing you become a new version of yourself, seeing you reach new levels in your life makes them feel insecure and they don't want people to change because they don't want to face the fact that they need to change. And it's like people love to say, "Oh, you've changed," but then my rebuttal to them is, "Why haven't you changed? Why do you still want to be the same version of yourself that you were years ago? I don't even want to be the same person I was yesterday. I want to become at least 1% better than I was the day before. I want to continuously keep improving because I have big goals. I have big dreams. If I just stay the same, how am I going to achieve that? How am I going to reach new levels?" And at the end of the day, it's just people that they feel the insecurities and they take it out on you without actually them admitting that it's actually an issue within them. And that's it. And it goes for the same reason as to why certain people will treat you bad or they'll be mean to someone. At the end of the day, it has nothing to do with the other person. It's all of their emotions inside that they don't want to face and they don't want to be transparent with themselves. And that's why you have to outgrow people. That's why you have to create separation because if you keep exposing yourself to that kind of energy, to those thoughts, you'll never be able to grow and be exposed to other opportunities because you want to be exposed to the right people. If you expose yourself to the wrong energy, the wrong people, it's going to just negative have negative impact on your life rather than positive. It's almost like if you ever seen crabs in a bucket, when one tries to escape the bucket, the other one just pull them down. It's like
Hmm.
if you hang out with a certain group of friends that don't want to achieve good things, and when you're trying to go achieve it, they're just going to keep pushing you down because they don't want you to outgrow them. They want you. Misery loves company. They want you to stay with them, and that's why you got to expose yourself to the correct circles.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, man. I love that analogy. You gotta find a way to break out of there, climb out of that bucket. So speaking of community, man, I want to talk about your community. We've touched on this a little bit in terms of the momentum community that you've been building, and I've been seeing you share stuff about it online, and it's so awesome, man. I personally trying to do something similar here in San Diego, and try and just get more of that in person connection. Just getting some group of men together to work out, talk about personal development, talk about business, things that we're trying to work on in our own lives. So how's that been for you? How did you start doing that? Like what were your steps and how rewarding has that been getting that started?
To be honest with you, the idea came like one day to the next, and I kind of just committed to it because I had recently, probably like almost a year now, did 75 hard for like the third time, but this time I did it differently because I did it with three of my best friends, and we almost created a community within ourselves. And I made very strict rules this time. Is like if one of us fails a task, we all start at day one instead of just one person going back to day one.
Hmm.
It almost created like this cohesive team, and we were just moving each other forward and pushing each other, holding each other accountable. And after those 75 days were over, I started thinking to myself, it's like, how many other men have a group of people that want the best for them and are actually helping push them forward and having the tough conversations and calling them out when they need to be called out because they genuinely believe you're not being the best version of yourself and you could do better. And I truly, in my head, was like, how many guys are being held back by having the wrong influences in their life and not having people pushing them forward? And I decided to really focus on men because I truly believe men in this country right now are weak. We're not operating mentally strong as men used to be. We're not taking responsibility. We're not moving forward with purpose because again, we have the wrong influences in our life and we need to be surrounded by men that actually understand the concept of being a man and showing up every single day. So at the end of the day, I just decided to say, I said, screw it. I have no idea how to build a community. I've never been a part of a community. I've never done any of this, but I'm not going to wait for the perfect time, procrastinate. I'm just going to do it, figure it out, and see if I can impact some lives. So I decided to just create it, and I kind of sat on the name for a couple of days because I didn't really know what am I going to name this? What is the concept going to be? And then I knew I wanted a name with the word men in it because obviously I'm focusing on men. And then I started thinking of words of like what is a word that can represent what this is actually about? And obviously, days of sitting there, the word momentum hit me, and I saw the word men just completely capitalized in my mind. The momentum is all about just forward movement and just keep moving forward no matter what. And then, yeah, I decided just to launch it and see what happens. And then I just ended up getting, I was already posting on, I started, so when I started thinking the concept, I already knew I would have to have some sort of social media presence because how am I going to attract other men to want to join something like this? So I started posting probably like a month or two before, just of me, and it was just me. I started with stories of me just showing up on a daily basis of what I do to build discipline, my workouts, blah, blah, blah. And then I just started getting more followers. I started posting like videos on my feed. And then I decided to announce the community. I ended up getting a good amount of signups and it kind of just started building from there and really built a strong community so far. And it's crazy because I don't only have men from South Florida, I have guys in California, Texas. I even have some guys in Canada. And I really didn't think that it would turn out to be what this is. I never really had a goal in mind. I just knew I had to commit to it because, like we were talking about earlier, it was just more about impacting lives, and it wasn't really about any kind of like specific numbers or monetary reasons. I just really wanted to impact lives and see what happens. And yeah, it's really been something amazing. And the amount of value that I get on a daily basis is incredible because I get to be surrounded by men that have the same viewpoints as me and have similar goals in life and have the same standards and values. And it's essentially just a community for men that are sick of being stuck, sick of talking about things and never taking action, and also sick of being around the wrong people. Because a lot of men, they have big goals and big dreams, but they just don't know where to start. And it's when you're in that state of mind, it's hard to do it when you don't have the correct people pushing you and holding you accountable. When you do have the right people behind you, it makes it a lot more easier and more attainable. And it's really just been a lot of fun. Still figuring it out along the way, but definitely making some good impact on some people's lives.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, I went to a networking event on Monday, last Monday. It was like a founders meetup, and that energy is contagious. Just getting in a room with people that are building something, that are moving forward, that have something to share with you, that can teach you, even if they're just one or two steps ahead of you, that is so valuable. And I think I hear what you're saying too about men in general, kind of like the way things have gone in the past, I don't know, decade or 2 decades or whatever it is. um, I feel like we're lacking that community, and it's not acceptable, or it seems a little harder for us to come out and say those kind of things in public. Like, man, we're missing that connection with other men. Like, it's kind of like, the tendencies to be like, grow up, dude, like go figure it out yourself. Like there's not really that sort of support community on that side of things for men. So totally respect what you're doing, man. I think that's huge. And I hope we continue to see it grow and build and, take on other states and countries as well.
I appreciate it. Yeah, like you said, really that masculine energy has been almost attacked worldwide. It's been trying to be almost feel like it's trying to be exterminated, like trying to kill off what men are, how men are supposed to be. And like you said, a lot of times men are just more shut off. They don't want to be vulnerable. They don't want to have the difficult conversations or be called out or just be held accountable and really be vulnerable. Because at the end of the day, that's what it is. That if you're transparent, vulnerable, you'll see how much your life changes because at that point, a lot of guys too, they suffer from wanting to portray an image. They'll lie and say, "Oh, I don't care about other people's opinion," but at the end of the day, they do. They don't do certain things because they're worried about what other people are going to think of them. But at the end of the day, who gives a crap? I used to, and I know that for a reason because that's something I used to suffer with. I used to care about other people's opinion. I used to worry about what they would think, and I would be the same guy that would say, "No, I don't care what people think." But deep down inside, I really did. And the minute I let that feeling go, is like that's when I truly felt what freedom is like. Because at this point, I really don't care if people laugh at me, call me cringy, or whatever they want to say, because I know the man I am after going through this self-improvement journey, getting to find out the real me, pushing my limits and putting myself in a difficult situations to really test myself if I'm that man that I said I am. And
Hmm.
being in the community has been great too, because I've also so I took inspiration from 75 Hard and created my own version called Ascent 60. We already did one round in the community in the beginning, and now we're about to start our second round in April 1st. And I made it this one more, it's called the Better Man edition because I put some tasks focused behind becoming a better man, becoming the best version of yourself. And these challenges too have really been great because it just builds the bond of the community even stronger, and it creates that energy of accountability because now we're all pushing together for towards one goal for 60 days, and we're all looking at each other and using each other as inspiration. And really, I think it's made a huge impact in all these guys' lives, and it's really exciting.
Nice, nice. Well, so what are you guys focusing on? You mentioned the better man kind of addition part of this. So I'm just curious, are there specific areas, like you mentioned, vulnerability is one aspect of this, or maybe that's the whole umbrella that gets this process started. But are there areas that you're focusing on, maybe accountability or I don't know, showing up better in your relationships, like things that make up becoming a better man?
So as far as like vulnerability, we work on that on a daily basis, weekly basis. We also do a one weekly call on Zoom, and it's just kind of like a roundtable call. And we just kind of lay it all out and just be as transparent as possible. That's really the time I try to give the guys to kind of just discuss their wins, their losses, anything they're going through. And again, it's a no judgment zone. It just got on there, just talk about what's going on in your life and let the other guys have their input and encourage the other members too. But as far as the challenge goes, I added 4 tasks related to becoming a better man. And one of them is daily affirmations because like I said before, a lot of men, they're their biggest critics and they hold themselves down because instead of talking positively about themselves, instead of telling themselves they could do certain things, they do the opposite. They talk themselves down. They convince themselves why they can't do certain things. And I truly believe when you have daily affirmations of you telling yourself that you can do something, you will do something, you must do something, you start moving with a different energy and a different speed because you start building that confidence. You start training your brain to tell itself, okay, this guy is the real deal. When he says something, he's going to do it. And in order to become the best man possible, you need to have confidence because a man has to lead with confidence, not only for their business, but also their family. Their family relies on you to have that confidence in order to be the leader of the household. Because as men, again, the we have this feminine versus masculine argument. At the end of the day, men are the leaders of the household. They need to take charge and they need to lead with confidence. So I believe the affirmations build that confidence. And then another exercise is daily visualization. It's me pushing them to train themselves to visualize the success they want to build, the man they want to become, what they see their life being years down the road. Because again, we got to get away from the instant gratification. We got to really change our mindset. Okay, I'm going to build this, and I know years down the line, I'm going to achieve this kind of success, and this is what my life is going to be like. You need to be able to train yourself to visualize it. When you could visualize it in your mind, it starts feeling achievable because now you have a visual goal that you're going to go after. Okay, I know what my life what I want it to be down the line, and now I have to go attack and make it happen. And then another one is a act of kindness. And again, it's not like act of kindness where you have to go walk an old lady across the street or go pay something financially. An act of kindness could be just say you're my friend that I haven't talked to in weeks. It's just me reaching out, giving some words of encouragement. If you're going through an issue, it's just me reaching out. Or think about how many times you have a person that you care about, and it's just you calling them saying, "Hey, I love you. I'm thinking about you, and I'm rooting for you." It just when you start moving with kindness, gratitude, and being more present in that area of your life, again, men were made to serve. And again, I'm not saying you're a servant for someone and you're taking orders. No, you're as men we're meant to serve. We're meant to be there for our families and provide and protect. And you got to train yourself to just operate from a different level and erase all the bull crap that we've been brainwashed into recently. And I truly believe being kind and being a good person, it makes you rich, not in financial reasons. It makes you rich in life. It makes you have a different vibration, a different energy. When you have that certain energy, I can't explain it, but life just starts throwing good things into your life and things just start magically happening. And I truly believe it's because you're giving out good energy, so you get good energy back. And then the last task is I had written down three areas. So in the first challenge, I had them write down a minimum of three important tasks that they needed to get done on a daily basis, and they needed to check it off by the end of the day. That was just me teaching them to build habits to actually take action and stop procrastinating. This time is more, you have to do three tasks, but you have to do a task from each of three categories I give you. One of them was about discipline. Another one was about essentially working on things in your business or for a guy that's on a 9 to 5 and he keeps talking about, well, I'm going to open up this business. Well, you need to set time throughout your day in order to start making that happen. So set aside 30 minutes of your day, start taking action on that thing. Or if you need to work on something for your business and you keep pushing it off, go put the time in. And then the last one was doing something towards building your legacy. And again, some people might not care about it, but for me, my last name means a lot to me. And I want to make sure when I leave this earth that I leave an impactful legacy. I leave a legacy that people remember of me doing positive things, being a good person, showing up the way I should, not because I created huge financial success, but I want to be known as a good person. I want my kids to continue spreading that energy into the world. So again, building legacy, and that could be something with your family, something, whatever legacy means to you. And it's really just being, I just try to make tasks that are mindful and intentional towards the end goal.
Creating that shift, that transformation in the guys that are in the program over the
Yeah.
long term, right? Not just a short, quick fix. Like it's not just a 60-day thing and then you go back to your old ways. It's sort of like this long-term commitment, right?
Yeah. Creating a new lifestyle. And obviously in the challenge, there's the typical stuff like 75 hard. There's the two workouts a day, one indoor, one outdoor, a gallon of water. Um, I've added 3 minutes of cold exposure. If you have a cold plunge, you do 3 minutes in the cold plunge. If not, you do it 3 minutes on the coldest setting of the shower. Stuff like that that also build the discipline. But then there's that four tasks of that are intentional of becoming a better man.
Hmm. Yeah, I would argue that this is necessary in today's day and age, man. I mean, not just these tasks, but also the accountability to do that. Because personally, I've tried a lot of this kind of stuff on my own. I've taken the leap and just made a commitment to myself in writing down, journaling like this week or this month, I'm going to take a cold shower every single morning at 6 a.m. And it's so hard to keep at it unless you have other people encouraging you and rooting for you. You feel like you're on this lonely journey just by yourself and I think what you said earlier about creating separation can be good for that because it can kind of allow you to step away from bad habits and negative energy, negative people, so you can focus on those things. But then the next step is like you need to have people, you need to replace the people that you've moved away from with people that are going to positively encourage you and reinforce those habits. Otherwise, I personally will fall off the horse after a little bit. I mean, I'm a very disciplined person. I hold myself very accountable, and my word is my law. But also, over time, you start to take your foot off the gas pedal a little bit, unless you have other people there that are checking in and being like, "Hey, man, you said you were doing this. What's going on? You said you were dropping an episode every Monday. What happened with that?" So I feel like it's a necessity in today's day and age.
Yeah, you definitely have to replace the bad with the good. And for me, I'm a loner and I could operate on my own, but it's you're so right that you do need the right people in your life that help you with that accountability and help you push forward. Because like when we do these challenges, the energy is just different. It creates like these guys push forward because they know that they have these other guys rooting for them and just becomes this whole cohesive thing of just everyone has this one mission that we're all moving forward on it. It really helps them build that discipline because they know they're not alone in it. They know they have other people going through the same struggles and the same obstacles. Because again, these challenges they're not fun. Like I like to tell people is like when they first start challenges like this or 75 hard, the first week they're like all so excited. They talk so good about it. You're excited and talking good because it's something brand new. It's something fresh. You have that exciting feeling, but I promise after week one, it settles in and you realize like this is no longer fun. These are tasks that now become quote unquote annoying or a pain in the ass. Like you don't want to do them. And like you said, when you do it alone, it is definitely tough. It makes it harder. But when you have a group of people pushing forward on that same goal, it's a game changer.
Hmm. Yeah, I gave myself the task of running this marathon. I'm running one in a couple weeks. When I started off the year, I was like, I need a challenge. I need some sort of journey to like give me guidance right now. And that was something that I signed up for. And I had a lot of friends that I was talking to, trying to get them to run it with me. And it was exactly like you said, like everyone's pumped about it. Oh yeah, the idea sounds great. Running the marathon, saying you ran a marathon sounds good. But then are you going to stick with it for 4 or 5 months? Are you going to be slogging through it when you don't want to, when you've already worked a long shift or whatever it might be? That's really when the rubber meets the road. And yeah, it's no longer fun. It's just something that you gotta do so you can get to the finish line.
Yeah. Because at the end of the day, people get all excited because talk is cheap, but no one wants to pay the price for the actual results. They
Yep.
at that point is when you realize how expensive the results cost because you got to show up, like you said, a marathon. That's no joke. You got to train consistently for months, and everyone loves to talk about, oh yeah, I want to do a marathon, but then when they actually think about what it takes to complete a marathon, that's when nobody wants to actually do it, and that's
Hmm.
when you surround yourself with the winners that are actually willing to put in that work, put in the grind, and actually go through the pain and go through the struggle in order to achieve that success. Because realistically, you going through that process of those months of training, that feeling you're going to get once you complete that marathon is going to be so. It's a feeling that not even money can give you because you followed through with your word. You told yourself you're going to do something, and you actually showed up, worked for it, and got it done.
Hmm. Yeah, dude, that's awesome. I needed to hear that too. That's inspiring in its own right. Just it's something that's more valuable than money. It's something that, you can take with you and you can apply in other parts of your life, whether it's your business, whether it's your relationships. It all circles back together. You have that pedestal to stand on. Like I did that. I stuck with my word for this many months. Yeah, it's a powerful feeling for sure.
Yeah, it's
Um, yeah. So I wanted to ask you, man, as we're getting towards the end here, like I saw that you recently launched a podcast, and I wanted to just talk to you about that journey, what prompted you to launch that, how that's been for you, and where people can keep up with you in the future.
Yeah, the podcast, honestly, another just idea that came to my mind from one day to the next. And I'm kind of like the person where I don't allow myself to overthink. If I get an idea, I go for it, I try it out and see what happens. And really, it's just it comes down to the same goal of just me wanting to impact lives. And I just felt like a podcast is just another good avenue of trying to get my message out there and trying to impact as many lives as possible, whether that be one or whether that be 1,000. It doesn't really matter. It just knowing that I could do everything I can in order to try to impact lives is really what drove me to the podcast. And also too is just since I've never done a podcast, again, it was just an uncomfortable feeling of me putting myself in a situation where I just had to go out there and figure it out. I didn't know what the hell to like talk about, or and that's honestly why I've been pushing myself to do solo episodes, because honestly I believe doing the solo episodes are harder than me and you having a conversation, because me and you could probably go for hours and hours of just talking because we have so much in common and we have the same views. When it's just you and that camera talking, that's really when it becomes that uncomfortable feeling. And for me, it just show again, it's just a me testing myself. Am I the person that I say I am? Am I really the person that can impact other lives? Can I actually sit in that camera and give valid advice and give them takeaways that they can implement into their lives? Or am I really just the imposter that's really just trying to put on an image? Again, it's just me testing myself and also me being able to put my message out there in different avenues. And yeah, it's been fun so far. It's a new thing for me, a new journey, and just trying different things out. And it's called the Momentum Podcast. It's on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcast, Amazon, all the outlets. And then on Instagram, you could find it momentum_pod, on TikTok as well. That's where I post the clips. And I'm looking forward to eventually putting guests on. But like I said, I'm just going with the rolling with the punches and just doing a weekly episode, releasing every Wednesday. Actually, right before we started recording this, I had just finished recording an episode. And yeah, just on a journey of just documenting my life as much as possible.
Grinding, man. I love it. Let's see what else you can stack on top of that. You got the men's group, got the podcast. I'm sure there's other things that you could fit in there too to make things interesting.
Yeah, another thing to put myself in an uncomfortable position was I just started doing YouTube vlogs every week. Again, I used to be very uncomfortable with the camera. Like you would put the camera in front of me and I wouldn't know what to say. And it's almost like I'm, my discipline has now made me want to chase those uncomfortable feelings. Like I want to overcome that fear of having the camera in front of me, which I already have. I feel very comfortable now just because, again, it's by taking action and not procrastinating or waiting for the perfect time, perfect moment. And when I realized that I had to get over the fear of recording, sharing my message, I would grab my phone on a daily basis and I would just record. I would press record with not having a specific topic in my mind, and I would force myself to record videos, and I would send them to my closest friends. And then there's obviously videos I wouldn't send to anyone, but I just record them because I had to take action if I wanted to get over that fear. And the only way of getting over that fear was getting that camera in front of me and forcing myself to share a message on video. It's very intimidating if you're not used to it. No matter how outgoing you are or what kind of person you are, the minute you put a camera on someone, 9 out of 10 times they freeze up and they get very nervous. And you could take that example with anything in life too. Is like if you're feeling a certain way in a certain situation, you want to overcome that, you got to lean into that. You got to put more time into it, be consistent with it, and stop running away from it. Because if you don't put in the work, if you don't grind at it, that uncomfortable feeling, that nervous feeling is never going to go away. And you got to be comfortable being uncomfortable. Because at the end of the day, the best thing in life is going to be something that makes you feel uncomfortable until you overcome that uncomfortable feeling. Until it starts becoming a way of life, a part of your routine. And you just got to keep raising your standards on a daily basis.
Hmm. Just getting the reps in, right? Like even if it sucks, even if it's just cringy or you think it's cringy, like just keep continuing to get those reps in, and then next thing you know, you'll have 10,000 reps in, you'll be on that path to mastery. And it's like no one will see that long journey. They won't see all the process that you went through to convince yourself to go out and get that extra rep in to record that extra episode. But it will get there. I mean, it's almost inevitable. It's kind of crazy when you think about it. Like when I don't know, when those self doubts start to come up and you're like, oh, am I meant for this? Am I cut out for this? And can I do this in the long term? It's like humans are hardwired to learn from our mistakes and to continue to improve and to adapt to our circumstances. So if you're doing enough of anything, you're going to get really good at it. And I really just try and focus in on that. Like when I'm not seeing the results or I'm just feeling like something flopped or it's just not hitting the way I wanted it to. it's just another rep. It's another step closer to that final outcome that we're all looking for.
Yeah, it's all about progress over perfection. Everyone wants to be perfect. They want everything to be a certain way, but gotta realize like in life, everything's not going to be perfect. Like, if you want to start posting on social media, stop trying to make this perfect video, this perfect edit. Just grab your freaking iPhone, record a video, and post it. Who cares? Again, stop worrying about what other people think. Stop caring about other people's opinion. Just start doing it, and you got to just start being consistent. Just keep going. And to me, it's crazy because I'll look at the videos from like when I first started doing this compared to now, and I could see how nervous I was, how much I was second guessing myself compared to now where I don't have that nervous feeling because again, I've put in so many reps that to me now it feels like second nature. And that's just by being consistent. And I honestly I'd love to see that progress, that improvement. That fuels me to do it even more because it's like, okay, I've gotten to this point. Now I want to get even better. I want to become the best version of myself and I want to be the best. I want to be the best content creator. I want to be the best podcast. I want to be like I want to achieve big things and seeing progress just builds confidence. Now I could see myself just improving and that makes me want to go out and do it even more. And you could do that. And that's whether you want to be a content creator or continue building your business. And progress over perfection goes hand in hand with business as well. Stop letting these doubts and these fears of because a situation's not perfect from stopping you to keep moving forward. You got to go through the obstacles. You got to go through the hard stuff in order to achieve that success you want. So it's all about putting those reps in and just getting the things done.
Hmm. Yeah, big time, man. Big time. It's a long journey, but I feel like if we, if people really just understand that key part about it, doing it when you don't want to, doing it when you know that it's something that is good for you, but you might not feel like you have the energy for it that day, or you might have had a bad day and still showing up and doing it and overcoming that every single day. You'll look back in 5 years and yeah, you'll be mind blown. I mean, I had the same reaction like you did. I look back on some of my very first episodes after doing this for, year and a half. And it's crazy to see the progress and it goes unnoticed unless you spend time to do that reflection. And so I actually recently made an episode actually last week about what to do when you lose motivation and how to get back on the horse and get back to, getting in that flow again. And one of the things I was talking about was doing exactly that, looking back on your progress and just kind of doing a quick gut check and seeing like, okay, have I actually made substantial progress? And if you've been doing it for over a year and a half and longer, the odds are yes, you've made some significant progress. Some people ramp up faster than others, but still that progress is enough to give you that boost again. And that's what I found when I was losing a little motivation and I was like, man, should I still keep doing this? And you just got to look back and see like, shoot, I had 200 followers and I had like I was getting one play per episode and now it's changing in the right direction. So just got to focus on those little wins, right?
Yeah, honestly, like even there's days I wake up and second guess this stuff all the time. It's like, do I even want to keep doing this? Like you just said, this episode only got one play. And you start looking at the numbers and you start like going down that rabbit hole as to like determining your success based off those numbers. But really, your success is like we were talking about is that self reflection, actually looking at yourself progress over time. To me, that's the bigger win than the actual views or the numbers. Because again, you're progressing, you're becoming a better version of yourself. You're getting better day by day. And to me, that's a bigger win or a bigger form of success than the actual views or numbers. Because when you start reflecting and you start looking at your progress, you start building the confidence. When you're a confident person, there's nothing that you can't achieve because you know that you have proof that when you put in the work, you get better. So why not put in the work into whatever you're working on and become the best version of yourself? But
Hmm.
yeah, 100%, you start it happens to everyone. Self doubt and just questioning yourself, but you just got to fight through those thoughts and just keep moving forward.
Yep, that's the way, man. That's the way. Dude, so this has been a great conversation. Again, I really appreciate your time for coming on here, sharing some of your wisdom, sharing some of the projects that you've been working on. I'm super excited personally to see the momentum group keep growing. Everybody that's listening out there, go check it out. and see what Brandon's been up to. Anything else you want to leave listeners with today, or we'll just keep up with your work on social channels?
Yeah, just if you liked anything I said, obviously go out there, follow me on Instagram. My Instagram is at Brandon Castro, just my full name. I have my YouTube that I post daily, I mean weekly on. I have my podcast, the men's community, and just trying to be an example for others out there to just show them what it takes to win on a daily basis. Just showing the example of putting the work and just showing how success and results build up over time. And that's why I've been documenting everything. And that's why I've been being transparent because I want to show the journey of what it takes. I want to show you that when you think that something is not achievable, it truly is. The only reason why you think it's not achievable is because you're not putting in the work and you're not willing to go through the pain and the suffering that it takes in order to achieve. Because at the end of the day, success is not given, it's earned. And you got to put in that work every single day. And you're out there listening. And if you're doubting yourself and you think that something's not achievable, I promise you, you have greatness inside of you. And if you lock in and if you truly believe in progress over perfection and you work at it on a daily basis, you will achieve your dreams and you will achieve things that you never thought were possible before.
Absolutely, man. Hey, you heard it from him here first. Keep at it. Anything that you're going for, keep working at it, and the results will show. Um, Again, man, appreciate your time, and hope you have a great rest of the week. We'll stay in touch on getting this out and promoting the podcast. But
Thank
appreciate your time, man.